morning, and just in time for Halloween, a message from the president that may frighten institutionalists here on Capitol Hill. Here's what he posted about the shutdown last night on Truth Social. It is now time for Republicans, he wrote, to play their Trump card and go for what is called the nuclear option. Get rid of the filibuster and get rid of it now. Republican leaders in the Senate have already rejected that idea, but if you nuke the filibuster, the GOP can reopen the government on their own and bring to an end, among other things, flight delays, with more air traffic controllers calling out sick.
A lot of our people can go through the miss of one paycheck, and it's hard for them, but a lot of them can get through it. None of them can get through two paychecks. And so, again, if Democrats don't get their act together very quickly, you're going to see huge problems.
And while troops will be paid today after the Pentagon has shifted some funding around, tomorrow, federal SNAP benefits are set to run out. Head Start and WIC funds will soon be in jeopardy, just as open enrollment begins for Obamacare plans.
I understand that a lot of Americans are sick of partisanship in Washington, D.C. Trust me, I've been here for 9 months in this job. I am sick of partisanship in Washington, D.C. But this is very, very simple. This is something that every single American, Democrat or Republican or Independent, should be able to agree on. Open the government. Stop this craziness and open the government.
A new Washington Post ABC News poll shows more Americans blame Republicans for the shutdown, but some here on Capitol Hill think Democrats are about to cave. Now, Democrats say they're holding firm for more health care subsidies, with this shutdown about to become the longest on record. Next week, Todd and Carly, back to you guys, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. That's right. But the longest shutdown, 35 days. We're at 31. So we'll see about that aforementioned cave next week as we head on into the weekend.
Sorry, honey. We can't afford that this week. I'll try to save more.
Got the top gone and the gold chain swinging. Pockets stay deep like the beat I'm bringing. Rolling with the hurt, yeah, the ghost stay blinging. Sun in my face while the bassline singing.
It's good, Jerry. I was wondering, where were you going to go with that? Actually, no, I wasn't wondering where Jerry was going to go. I knew exactly where Jerry was going to go with his meme. And it's hilarious. And we'll talk a little bit about the trick and the treat of what's going on with the government shutdown. The trick is that supplemental nutritional assistance is all a massive fraud, a huge handout to criminal aliens to buy their votes and to make sure that they can come to this country and not work, not produce anything, not provide anything, and just be leeches and parasites. That is the trick. The treat is that everybody is now aware of this because all of their benefits get cut tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, in 24 hours. And what I'm talking about here is the criminal aliens. And we're going to talk about what's happening with American citizens as well. Far too many of them are using SNAP and government welfare as a lifestyle. This was never intended to be a lifestyle choice, but no, it is an actual intergenerational lifestyle. We've done the research on this, and I actually know firsthand, both anecdotally and through the data, there are families in America that have not paid for groceries in 3 generations because they just figure out the system here. And so I'm done paying half my income for able-bodied people that claim that they can't work, but the moment that you cut their benefits, they're going to start rioting and looting. If you are strong enough to riot and loot, you're strong enough to go to work. Just a couple of thoughts here on Halloween. Today is Friday, October 31st, 2025. Do we have spooky Halloween music? Do we have anything? We were on the road all week, so we didn't actually do we have any extra Halloween stingers or anything like that? Maybe we can cook something up during the show.
And it was just like hustling.
You know what? What were we doing this week, Klein? We were hustling. That's right. Well, hit me again.
And it was just like hustling.
Yes. But you got to go like this.
And it was just like hustling.
Who moves their arms like that? What is going on? We challenged him to an interview. I hope he says yes. Food stamp fraud by illegal aliens exposed. Trump trolls. Halloween at the White House again. And Rob Finnerty, Newsmax host, who broke a lot of this story about the food stamp fraud, joins the program live. It is our great honor. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Oh, baby. Make sure that you are enrolled in Medicare. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are over 64, then you will face a challenge. You have to be enrolled in Medicare. The government forces you to do it. They'll penalize you if you don't. You'll get charged, actually, if you don't get on government health care. That's the way it works. I don't make the laws. I don't like the laws, but I don't make the laws. You should make sure that you're getting the best out of your Medicare plan. And you should talk to somebody at Chapter. You deserve trustworthy advice, and the experts at Chapter can make sure that you are on the right plan that truly fits your needs. On average, Chapter saves people around $1,100 a year. It's real cash you can put in your pocket. It's not fun to deal with, but Chapter makes it easy, and they can review your Medicare options in under 20 minutes and make sure that you're picking a plan that's best for you. Speak to a trusted Chapter advisor today. Dial pound 250 and say the word savings. Take control of your healthcare. Dial pound 250 and say the word savings today. Let's start with Halloween, shall we? Now, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump, something that is a constant meme of our president is what he did to a minion years back. This is in the first administration. President Trump decided to take a young inflatable minion and put a full-size candy bar on the minion's head and just left it there. And then Melania followed suit and threw a full-size candy bar on the head of the minion. It's a good woman right there. It's a good woman. It makes no sense, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, honey, because I love you. So this was a thing of legend, and it spawned 100,000 memes. And even the White House decided to create a meme, in fact, based on this. Do we not have that, ALX? You got to get it for me. We have a meme based, there's like a meme based on this famous moment. Oh, I know they'll have it. They'll have it in just a second. It's all right. Sweet ALX. He's always redlining the show with us. But the point is that this was so famous that the White House was memeing it, making it about a sombrero for Hakeem Jeffries. When you got it, yeah, you still got it? No, you don't got it. Oh, amazing! I thought we'd be faster. Come on, boy. Now it's a speed game. Now help me out. Speed game. Let's go. Producers. There it is. There you go. Thank you. So the moment is so legendary that the White House decided to make a meme out of it and troll Democrats.
He did the Monster Mash.
The Monster Mash.
We are in the sacred timeline, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, the point of all of this is that it's Halloween today, and we just want some good old Halloween fun. So here we go. President Trump with the candy bar thing, where he puts the full-size candy bar on top of the marshmallow head. There we go. So he's done it again. And while this was certainly the most viral moment, certainly not the most viral costume. Most viral costume goes to McDonald's. Look at this. Absolute alpha mom. This is called S-tier parenting right here. Well done. Well done. S-tier parenting. Incredible. How'd you even do that, Klein? I had to build out like a whole lot of time. Build the whole thing. And if you can zoom in, you can see that her children are like little McDonald's drive-through window employees. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Well done. Well done, ladies. Well done. This is rounds of applause. This is the best, without question, the best costume President Trump obviously delighted in it, loving it. I'm loving it, you might say. We are proud to report to you, and we were counting, that 0 children, President Trump put his mouth and teeth on 0 children, unassuming innocent children. This is, of course, a stark relief for all of us, given the fact that we had to witness years of Joe Biden physically shoving baby parts in his mouth. You know how horrifying that's got to be for a kid? Like, I have little kids. Like, I would never do this to my own kid. How, like, you're shoving the kid's foot into your mouth. Here's Joe Biden. Like, actually, I mean, he's biting the children. What was it? What was this exactly? Was it like an Illuminati ritual? Was it some type of like humiliation ritual? Was this some type of thing for the for the kids? You can see here in the close-up that he's physically biting the children. Full mouth, full teeth. Yeah, this is a Reuters photo. Oh, come on, dude. There he is. There's more. This was just last Halloween. You understand? You understand what we've done, like, here by saving this nation? By taking these predators out of the White House? I'll just say it. Like, it's just a predator. This is just predator behavior. And this is just one of many, many, many thousands of examples of Joe Biden doing this to children. Again, it's a sickness. Something very dark inside of Joe Biden, probably how he, like the rituals and humiliation rituals he had to do to, like, be able to get famous in the first place and rise up the political ranks. The differences, however, are delightful. President Trump tossing full-size candy bars on the top of costumes, trolling the kids. And then Joe Biden, full mouth, full teeth, full tongue, biting children. I'll repeat something that I've said, and then we'll move on. I'll repeat what I've said, though, before about this, which is the well-being of your children is a you thing as parents. And these parents should be charged with endangerment of their children by bringing them around Joe Biden. That's just a matter of fact. You should just be in charge. You know what's about to happen. You know you're putting your kid in an unsafe situation. So stop doing that. What parent in their right mind would sit there and offer up as a sacrifice to Joe Biden, their child? Very, very creepy. Anyway, that's the scariest thing you'll see this Halloween, no doubt. Have your kids nowhere near Joe Biden. Beautiful to see President Trump bringing some decency back to the White House. Is it too much to ask that our presidents don't unwantingly bite children? It is not too much to ask. So thank God President Trump is there. Speaking of having your mouths on things that they shouldn't be on, the SNAP recipients and EBT recipients in this country are just hours away from rioting and thieving. Many would argue that perhaps they've been thieving for a very long time in this country, given the fact that, I'm sorry, but it's not the 1930s anymore. This is not the Great Depression. There are not food shortages in this nation. There is a parasitic shortage of people who want to just leech off of the productive class. I am so sick of paying half my income to able-bodied Americans and illegals who refuse to work. Why should I subsidize them? By the way, they live way more lavishly than I do. I eat ground beef. You can get lobster and caviar on your EBT card. The EBT program has ballooned to such an expense that it's costing approximately per month one Hoover Dam, one Apollo moon mission. It's an obscenity to us. It's an insult to us as the American people. I just want to run through a couple of top line things. This is why I'm furious here. And then we're going to play the Newsmax reporting that's gone so viral over the last few days, breaking all of this down. I'm going to give you my stance on this as a Christian and then as a citizen. As a Christian, you're called to be charitable, to give. You know, it is God's money. Christ was constantly feeding people and miracles. The Good Samaritan is all about like taking somebody who's really had a bad run and then feeding them and clothing them and mending to them. I am 100% in favor of Christian charity. We practice it here on the channel. It is woven into who you must be. You cannot be some type of stingy, greedy, usurious penny pincher that is unchristian. You should be giving generously. You should be spending on others. What happens, however, is when the government points a proverbial, metaphorical gun at your head. Is it metaphorical, actually? Because if you don't pay your taxes, you go to prison. Don't try that. Don't pay taxes, go right to jail. That's what'll happen for you, especially as a Republican, if you don't pay your taxes. So actually, that's force. So government forces me to give. Well, then it's not actually out of the generosity of my own heart. So I'm giving without any love. There's no care involved there then. And the receipt then of this gift to the people who are on SNAP and food stamps creates entitlement because there is receipt without any gratitude. And it poisons the entire well. It poisons the entire, what was probably manifested or sold to unassuming dolt Christians. Oh, let's do another entitled. Let's do another entitled. These are all like sort of the rotted architecture of New Deal programs and Great Society programs from LBJ. All of this government infrastructure architecture guarantors everything from Social Security to welfare benefits to the modern welfare state was created through Christian guilt, guilting Christians into these kind of programs based on our generosity. But it's been utterly and wholly and completely abused in an abomination. Now, maybe you are sitting there saying, you know, some people are really suffering and they do need a little help buying food. Well, you know what SNAP stands for, right? The S stands for supplemental, meaning you're not supposed to be buying grocery carts filled with food. I know that we have that clip. If we don't, let's load it. You shouldn't be using SNAP benefits to buy your entire grocery list. You have that as a play beside. This is what SNAP benefits often look like at the store. You're well aware. You've seen this before. This is $1,000 worth of groceries that you paid for, and the person buying them is laughing in your face because it's all ultra-processed garbage. Look at the dog food. The things that you can buy on SNAP are, by the way, obscene. It's not just caviar and lobster. Look at that $1,000 bill. They're buying their dog food with SNAP benefits. You can buy spice racks because it's classified as food. You can buy edible underwear. That was going around yesterday. You find that post? Not that I really want to show you, but like, you can buy edible underwear now on SNAP. Do you understand what's actually happening here? The people on the benefit, the supplemental nutritional program, not only is this not nutritional, try and explain to me the nutritional value of edible underwear, please. I doubt there's many Americans living off that. It's supposed to be supplemental, meaning it's just supposed to help you get by, fill in the gap. And it's supposed to be nutritional. None of this stuff is nutritional. Klein, can you put up just some of the things that are available on SNAP? This is like truffle salt. It's $1,000 truffle salt, bag of truffle salt. Don't worry, available on SNAP. Don't you worry. Just go through some of the junk food items. Oh, okay. Here you go. Ring Pops, SNAP EBT eligible. Here's Hershey's and Reese's, SNAP EBT eligible. Oh, for sure. Sour Patch, for sure, SNAP EBT eligible. This is what they are calling nutritional. Here's steaks, better steaks than I eat, $27 a pound. Ribeyes, lobster tails, SNAP EBT eligible. So, like, do you understand what happens to your grocery bill When people come through buying all of the steak, you wonder like why things are getting so expensive. The damn grocery store. When they increase the amount of SNAP recipients and they increase the amount of free government dollars that flow through those stores, that increases the prices for all of you. If car manufacturers had 20% of their inventory bought by the government, given away for free to people, what would that do to the price of the cars? It doesn't make them less expensive. It's just supply and demand and scarcity. When the government comes in and messes with the supply and demand chain by wholly subsidizing all the lobster tails in Massachusetts for the poorest people in Massachusetts, which makes no sense. It's a total inversion. The poorest people in the country are living richer than you who are paying for them because they're poor. You know how indefensible it is? How perverse it actually is? It is immoral. It's an immorality, actually, what's happening here. Because then there's zero incentive for these families to ever leave the program. And worse than that. And I know this, by the way, because I lived next to these families in Washington, D.C. And they would openly tell me, they call this the hustle. Please, Gavin. Please, Gavin.
And it was just like hustling.
Yeah, they call it the hustle. What is the hustle exactly? The hustle is multi-generational fraud based on government programs that you get grandfathered into. Children growing up on these programs, never getting off them. To get off them, you'd have to like go work. Many of them are means tested. What does that mean exactly? Does that mean that you're going to get kicked off if they find that you're an able-bodied person and they're just going to tell you to go get a job? No. It means that you better not be making a W-2. You better not be actually going and working. Just like when it comes to WIC benefits and child benefits, you better not have a husband at home. They incentivize the worst possible parasite behavior in human beings. At some point, who's the dumbass here? Who's the poor person? Aren't I the poor person? Am I? I'm absolutely poorer, and everybody who works at my company is poorer than the people who are on these welfare benefits. They get to sit around all day. They get to do drugs, smoke weed, play video games, watch porn, whatever, sit on their doorstep. They don't have to ever exert themselves or ever have to adhere to any other schedule, do anything that they don't want to do. Their entire lives are subsidized. They live richer than we do. They're eating lobster tail and steak and junk food that I would never buy. And I have to pay for it. Aren't I actually the poor person in this relationship? In this scenario, isn't it me who lives the hard life? And them who are living like kings? Because they were just born into it. Isn't that like landed aristocracy? They can just exist and have everything paid for, the roof over their head, the food on their plates. Somebody else is just going to provide it for them. Isn't that like, didn't we just create a new, it's an underclass of aristocrats. Try and explain that to me. And how am I not the serf who has to go in and work every single weekend? This team at this company, we work every single weekend. We work holidays. We live stream 7-8 hours sometimes a day, straight into the night, overnight sometimes, depending on the news cycle, election nights and so on. Constantly traveling, constantly having to invest, constantly having to make ends meet to build the company. Having to pay I've never missed a salary. I've never missed a payment at this company, but sometimes it's close. Sometimes it hurts, man. That just is what it is for every small business owner. This just is. There's ups and downs, feast and famine. For every entrepreneur, this is the story. And then they cut my wages. They cut the potential revenue of this company in half in order to fund the aristocracy at the bottom of society, not at the top. That is indefensible and immoral because there's so many Americans that are just trying to get by. 42 million Americans on EBT and food stamps. Sorry, this isn't the Great Depression Here's the chart. Like, this is wild. Look at this. Here's the chart, SNAP spending. And this is nice because we're going to jump into illegals. I get it. People have tough times. I've been dead broke. I know what it's like to wonder where my next meal comes from. I'm well aware. My meals, often the McDonald's $1 menu. Now, that doesn't even exist anymore. Thank God it existed when I was in community college and didn't have a penny to my name. Like, I ate off that thing. I literally lived off McDoubles. Okay? $3 you can eat all day. I mean, for $3 you can get 3 square meals at McDonald's. That was my SNAP. You know what I mean? I want to like start at the top. Because what I think for Americans, you have to have work. You have to have true enforceable work requirements. Where you put the S back into SNAP. Supplemental. This is supposed to just get you by. This is supposed to be a bridge. And it's supposed to be nutritional. Ban all junk food. Just vegetables. And ground beef. And like lower end meats and vegetables. Get people back healthy. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, that's it. Milk, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. That's it. You know, it's harder to sell that actually on the street. You have to go home and use those things. Otherwise they rot. Teach people how to cook. Teach a man to fish, so to speak. And then you have to have work requirements. To stop what is happening, and we're going to talk about this chart in just a second, you have to have work requirements. And this is for the Americans. Now let's get to the criminal aliens. Because what Klein's going to show you here between these two charts is actually, for the first time in a long time, there was quite a collapse downward for what we were spending in SNAP during Trump's term 1. The economy was going great. They were starting to really harshly means test this. If you are an able-bodied adult, you should not be on supplemental income or benefits. You should go and work. It should not be your choice whether you work or not. That should not be a lifestyle choice that I am required to subsidize. I am not required to pay for your kids to eat. You made your own choice, and you're making the choice not to work. That is none of my business, nor should it be my consequence to have to pay for you. But then the spike, that makes no sense. The spike makes no sense. Doesn't even matter if it's COVID. There's only one thing that makes sense to this spike. Here's the next chart. This spike in SNAP benefits perfectly correlates with the number of criminal aliens that Joe Biden allowed in. Perfect correlation, like a 1-to-1. There's no criminal aliens on SNAP benefit. There's no criminal aliens allowed on welfare benefits. Oh, really? Well, let me bring you absolute right-wing news site, ABC News. Conspiracy theory. Right-wing news site, ABC News. My window, please. Yep. Published yesterday. About 90,000 people, that's a lot of people, bigger than my hometown where I was growing up, right? Like 300 people in my hometown. 90,000 people will lose SNAP benefits in an average month as a result of new restrictions narrowing which non-citizens can access the program. Do you understand what they're admitting here? That there are hundreds of thousands, and in this case, in this test case, it will be millions upon millions of criminal aliens that you are subsidizing with food benefits. The number of non-citizens on welfare should and must be zero, absolute zero. The Center for Immigration Studies, illegal immigrants to be hit hard as SNAP and WIC benefits expire. What? What have we been doing here? Federal funding for WIC and SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Notice how they name these things so Orwellian. Among our findings, of households headed by illegal immigrants, 59% use one or more welfare programs. Cash, food assistance, Medicaid, and housing. Is your blood boiling yet? Just one more time. Of households headed by illegal immigrants, 60% are on American welfare. Now, what is it? Do you know how these programs work? The way that they're supposed to function, they don't function like this, but the way they're supposed to function is you pay in. With your taxes, with your FICA every single year, you just, everybody pitches in, everyone pitches in, and there's a pot of money, and it gets doled out by the bureaucrats, the people that are most in need, little grannies, right, on Social Security. That's not how it works, actually. How it works is a complete and total cancerous parasite. People who don't pay taxes. An entire parasitic population of people who don't pay taxes, who have never paid taxes, whose grandparents weren't part of the system and they're part of the system. Like, you see how you're supposed to pay it forward? Like, that's how it's all supposed to. Nope. The power structures in our society have colluded entirely to create a system that benefits parasitic populations on our nation the most and encourages them to come here en masse, changing forever the fabric of our country, creating a zero trust society and a bankrupt society while they're at it. It is absolutely enraging that 60% of criminal alien households are on cash, food assistance, Medicaid, or housing assistance. We are paying for the destruction of our nation right now. They're forcing you to do it. It is a humiliation ritual. Deport them all. They all have to go. They all have to go home. And then you need to start, and then you need to go, like, once the criminal aliens are home, then you need to do a really hard look at the guest worker programs here in this nation. H-1B programs in this nation. I wonder what their SNAP and welfare assistance looks like. Illegal immigrant households have especially high use of food programs. 48% are enrolled in these programs. SNAP, WIC, school, lunch, or breakfast. In particular, our analysis found that 17% of illegal immigrant households used SNAP. In addition, food programs, 18% of illegal immigrant households were enrolled in one of the cash programs. 4% were the housing program. They're making you pay. They're garnishing your wages. They're taking half of your wages and forcing you to pay for the snot-nosed children of people who don't belong here, who came here illegally, who laugh in your face, who don't pay taxes, who get paid cash on the construction site, who pay nothing into the system. How is there not a measure right now in order to ameliorate who is an American and who is not, and cut the funding to nothing for people who do not have a Social Security card? Goodness gracious. Food stamps by ethnicity. Percentage of U.S. household receiving SNAP benefits. This is if you have in Afghanistan. If you're from Afghanistan, 45%. Somali, 42%. Iraq, isn't this great? Isn't nation building wonderful? Here's your nation building for you. Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia. This is American nation building. That's why neocons is the single most. Neoconism is the single most destructive political ideology in the history of our nation. Look at what they've done. Goodness gracious. Puerto Rican, Cuban, Black, Arab, Cambodian, Haitian. Holy smokes. There's a Newsmax segment. The host will be joining us, actually, very soon here, by Rob Finnerty, that goes over all of this and that has gone viral for all the right reasons. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll get there in just 1 second as we're loading that up. I've been loaded up. We've been traveling a lot this week, loaded up on my Blackout coffee. All I do is talk about Blackout coffee, man. It is literally in my mug right now. I brew a pot of it a day. Why? Well, I am on one stimulant, and that is caffeine. A lot of people use a lot of different things. I can tell you that caffeine has the best life results when it comes to addictiveness and longevity and so on. I don't claim to be a medical professional, but I'm telling you, man, most Americans drink coffee. You should drink coffee that supports your values. Coffee's good for you. It's also something that you should really concern yourself with when it comes to where the coffee is coming from, because most of the coffee companies hate you. Blackout Coffee does not. If you believe in hard work, American values, and coffee that actually tastes like real coffee, go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny and use the code Benny for 20% off your first order. Support the American dream. Drink Blackout. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a Newsmax report that's going viral right now on this because finally an anchor had the guts to just say it. Here we go.
Back to the food stamps. Did you have any idea that 42 million people in this country were on food stamps before yesterday? I did not. We did not as a team. 42 million people are collecting money from a government program that started during the Great Depression to help people get back on their feet. And now we've got 42 million people living off that program permanently, a program that was always meant to be temporary. That means 1 in every 7 adults in this country are on food stamps. 1 in 7. Think about that. Another Democrat grift just totally exposed by Democrats. But the left spent the day pearl clutching on TV that people are going to lose their food stamps this weekend during a shutdown that the Democrats started. And maybe this is not the best person for the free government food program. Again, we are not trying to be mean, but maybe when addressing the impacts of taking food off the table, you choose somebody else as a spokesperson.
Employee of the school district, I only get paid once a month. By the time I get my bills paid, I have nothing left to pay for food and other basic needs. If it wasn't for SNAP benefits, I wouldn't be able to feed my children or myself. I work, pay my bills, and like every other mom, I want to be sure that I have enough food to put on the table.
I think she has enough food to put on the table. I haven't been to her house. I don't know. And again, we're not trying to be mean. Some people do need food stamps, okay? We understand that. Some people need food stamps. And we're sure that that woman meant every word that she just said. But do you honestly think there are 42 million people in this country that need food stamps on a weekly basis? And we're saying people deliberately instead of Americans, because most of the people that are on food stamps aren't even from this country. 45% of Afghanistan immigrants are on food stamps. 42% of Somali immigrants, 34% of every immigrant from Iraq, 23% of Haitians, 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps, meaning that most of the people getting food stamps from the U.S. government and the U.S. taxpayer are not even Americans. Think about that. And we didn't know about any of this before the government shutdown started. But thanks to Democrats, we can confirm tonight that millions of Joe Biden illegal aliens, people who crossed the border when Joe was president, are now collecting food stamps from a program funded by hardworking American taxpayers.
It's a humiliation ritual. They're forcing you to fund the destruction of your country. There's so much evidence to this point that it's hard to really pack into one show. But let's try. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is a report on how Venezuelans live in Chicago. Let's go.
$15,000 in food stamps and $5,000 cash money monthly. Every month they're getting that. Yes, and they're getting 6 months free rent. But this was the first time I heard about it. Now I've heard it's 2 years free rent, getting Section 8, first prioritized before the citizens.
Wow. So the Venezuelan migrants that are coming in here, they are getting 6 months free rent, $15,000 in food stamps, and on a credit card, $5,000. Cash. Oh my goodness. How do the people in Chicago feel about that?
Well, people are angry because there's a lot of people, that need help with Medicaid and food stamps, and they get rejected.
Tell me about the people that you've seen on the streets collecting clothes.
By my house, there's a Walgreens. There's a lot of families that go stand by the door with a pamphlet saying they need money and food. And they're Venezuelans getting money. And then they go in the bus and don't pay.
They send the money back to Venezuela. There's a scandal that was covered in the New York Times a couple of years ago where SNAP and food stamp recipients in New York were putting all of the food that they bought on crates and container ships and sending them to their families in the Caribbean. This is easier because the food's free. The food's free. You paid for it with your back-breaking, neck-snapping work. You paid for it. They're loading that food up. They're not even eating it. They're shipping it back to the Caribbean for their families to gobble up or resale. It's a complete and total fraud. They need to shut down the program. I think they need to completely shut down. They need to use this as an opportunity to close down the program, to archive everything, to restart it, and then force everyone to reapply under much stricter standards, Social Security numbers, and then limit what you are able to get to bare bones. Ground beef, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, milk, eggs. That's it. That's what you can get. No ultra-processed foods. No shelf-stable foods. You need supplemental food. If you need supplemental nutritional assistance, then let's make it supplemental and nutritional and assist people. Households headed by an illegal immigrant have high rate of welfare use. Look at the chart. All welfare. Native households, illegal immigrant households are the orange ones. Legal immigrant households are the blue ones. You are being forced to subsidize the people who are here to destroy your economy, destroy the trust vectors of your neighborhood and society, to parasitically live off of your wages and hate you for it. They can hate us for free back in their home countries. You shouldn't come here to get free stuff. I don't know why this is even a remotely controversial thing to say. Go to your home country, go to your country and ask for free stuff. Why are you coming to my country and asking for free stuff? Yeah, please put that chart back. Not only free stuff, but the most luxurious free stuff. Caviar, lobster tails, ribeye. $10 billion in SNAP benefits are spent yearly on delivery apps. Do you know this? So you can get your truffle salt, $1,000 bag of truffle salt delivered. $10 billion are spent on DoorDash and Uber Eats. So you're too lazy to even get up and go shopping with your SNAP benefits. So it's all corporate subsidies, by the way. This is why we've never had this conversation in this country, because the corporations love it. DoorDash sales last year were about $12 billion. Probably $2 to $3 billion of that was revenue from SNAP benefits. Illegals who are too lazy to get up and even go shopping using DoorDash to get their lobster tails and caviar delivered with their truffle salt. Remarkable. And then DoorDash, of course, like not even DoorDash, big scandal last week, not testing Social Security, not even Social Security card. So the person delivering it to them isn't illegal, that doesn't pay taxes. The entire economy is fake, man. What's to be done? What's to be done? Yep, that's right. DoorDash announces that they will waive delivery fees for SNAP recipients. Perfect. It's all a massive fraud. It is a fraud to enrich and to buy the votes of the Democrat Party's base, which are criminal alien and the parasitic class. It is done by using a gun and force to take your wages, and it is immoral. It is indefensible. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is a man who was very brave from his position at Newsmax right here. These posts going viral, obviously, millions and millions of views on a Rob Finnerty, and that's the name of the show, by the way, on Newsmax, deciding to actually grab this third rail. Republicans typically are too weak to do it. And Rob has used his show and his platform in order to talk about this crisis in America. And we're thankful to him. And he joins our show live now. Rob, thank you so much for being on the program, man. This is a wonderful turnabout, and for doing this report. Welcome.
Benny, glad to be here. This was, by the way, Monday night when we did this. So this was, talk about the third rail. It's like part of the conversation now. Sunday going into Monday, I talked to my team. I said, this is it. And they said, I don't know. We don't really see it. I said, this is a gift. Democrats have shut the government down now, 13 times. This is an ancillary benefit to a Democrat government shutdown because I wasn't aware of this. 42 million people, as you said, not Americans. These aren't Americans. 48.5% are illegal aliens, meaning they came here illegally, and now they are illegally collecting food stamps. It's not SNAP. It's not stamp. This is, Democrats do this. They change the language. Sex change surgeries, gender affirming care. The unhoused, now homeless. Your master bedroom is now the primary bedroom, and SNAP is food stamps. Illegal aliens are dreamers or undocumented neighbors. This is what Democrats do. And I completely agree. Once the government reopens, and I've been in touch with people at the White House, and they don't want to do it because it's not popular. But look, every illegal alien collecting food stamps needs to no longer be collecting food stamps. Everyone should be forced to reapply as soon as the shutdown comes to an end.
I think that would immediately solve a lot of problems because you should be forced to reapply with a social security number. And if you don't have one of those, you can't get government goodies. It doesn't work, Rob, if no one's paying into the system. It will collapse. By nature, it's going to implode in on itself. These people didn't pay into the system. Their grandparents didn't pay into the systems. They don't often pay taxes at all. Where's the money ever going to come from?
Yeah, it's over $100 billion a year that it's costing the U.S. taxpayers. That's a conservative estimate, by the way. My mother, I asked her if I could share this story, but my parents got divorced 1990. And my dad, we're friends now. We're great friends. He actually spends the holidays with us. And my mom and he are close again. My mom's remarried, but they got divorced 1990. I'm one of four. And my mom was on food stamps for like 9 months. She hadn't worked in 20 years. She was a stay-at-home mom. She put herself back through nursing school. She graduated from Boston College in the 70s, but wasn't planning on working after being a school teacher for years. So we were on food stamps. And I can remember being 8 years old at the grocery store and being embarrassed for my mom. I didn't know what it was, but guess what? She pulled herself up. She got a job. She worked 2 jobs at one point, and in less than a year's time, she was off food stamps and was never on food stamps again. Back then, they were food stamps. It was embarrassing for her. It was embarrassing for us as a family. Neighbors made fun of us at the bus stop. I don't know how they knew, but somehow they knew. Small town. Look, food stamps, it was invented by another Democrat, FDR, late 1930s. Took him almost a decade after getting elected to come up with this program. But it was basically to help people, Americans, who were struggling. Just post-Great Depression, and it was always designed to be temporary. It was never designed for illegal aliens. It was never designed for many people our age that are collecting, to your point, getting ice cream and getting candy and ultra-processed food, or sending that money back home, or sending the food back home. It was never designed for that, and these people are totally full of you-know-what, claiming they can't go out and get a job. I'm sorry, but if you go to a grocery store, Benny, I'm sure you do well, and I know you've got a wonderful family, but you look at the price when you go to the grocery store and you're like, well, maybe I won't get that steak tonight, or I won't get that, because you are working hard for that money. Look at the grocery cart of somebody who's getting $350 a month from the government. It's totally packed to the brim. That's a problem. That has to stop.
Yeah, like, listen, man, I got 4 kids. It gets expensive to feed them. My wife posts the meal that she cooks almost nightly on her Instagram.
Right.
It's often ground beef and rice. It's
Right.
a ground beef, rice, chicken, vegetables. Like, that's what's
Right.
being eaten in my household. The luxuries that are available on Snap. How is this possible, Rob? We put up on the show, but we have some examples here: caviar, lobster tails, a ribeye, $27 a pound. Here's a $1,000 bag of truffle salt. I don't really even know what that is.
No, I don't know.
But it sounds very expensive, and it's available on EBT and Snap. Who's
Yeah,
policing this, Rob?
It's all, this is Democrats, and it's decades of bad policies that are now being exposed. If the government didn't shut down, this is a blessing in disguise. Blessings always come in disguise. We would not be aware of this, that 42 million people, and we wouldn't be aware of the numbers. We are now, and this is a problem for Democrats. This is a secret they did not want exposed. But when you've got a grift like this going, think about it like this, Benny. These people, we've got illegal aliens who are criminals. It's a federal crime to cross the border. Then there are criminal illegal aliens, and 2 million have been deported or have self-deported since Donald Trump got elected. And now we've got people, 48.5%, that are here illegally, that are illegally stealing from the American people. And the pearl clutching, like, oh, babies are going to starve. Well, look, maybe that will de-incentivize people from breaking into our country. Okay, don't give me that whole babies are going to starve. That is such BS. Have you seen these people on TikTok? They're not going to starve. Not short term, not long term.
It's interesting that you bring that up, Rob, because a lot of these companies were acquired when the American government started cracking down on cigarette companies. And Philip Morris and some of the larger cigarette companies began to experiment with extremely addictive, ultra-processed foods, and began slowly seeding that into the American diet, using some of the same chemicals and using some of the same addictive elements and addictive, mouthfeel and everything like that. The same thing as a cigarette, right? And they did that through junk food. And they worked in laboratories, just like they did with cigarettes, in order to make them as addictive as possible. And the crash out, by extension, for these people seems to be almost like you're taking a drug away from them. You're taking away their drug of choice. And that's why you see so many ultra-processed foods inside of these programs, because it is a massive carve-out, a massive giveaway to some of the most evil companies on earth, right? To some of the biggest companies on earth, companies and corporations that can stand on their own 2 feet, that are have an enormous amount of revenue from these programs. It really is a massive subsidy, isn't it, to just Walmart, Kraft Foods, and some of the larger food manufacturers in our nation. That's what this ends up being.
Yeah, dollar store as well. And this has gone on for a long time. It happens in the pharmaceutical industry. Think about 1958, the CDC came out and said that cigarettes don't cause cancer. Doctors were advising patients to, instead of taking medicine, if they were anxious, or today we'd call it anxiety, they said, why don't you try smoking? It seems to help with that. You think about the vaccines, the CDC told us in 2021, after Operation Warp Speed, that these were totally safe, that not only would they prevent you from getting COVID, but that once you got vaccinated, you'd never have to worry about it again. They're always lying to us. In fact, I've found that we are being lied to more often than not. You've heard this a million times, particularly since Trump got elected. We need new conspiracy theories because the old ones keep coming true. That's true. That keeps happening. This is all a grift. And people, Benny, 42 million people, 20 million at least, that are not citizens of this country are getting food stamps, are collecting money, not from the government, from the taxpayer on a monthly basis.
Maybe we should talk solutions here quickly. How do you fix this? I mean, my thought is shut it all down, force everyone to reapply with American citizenship, crack down on what is, I assume it'd have to go through the Department of Agriculture, potentially HHS, but crack down on what is available on these programs. You want to see, take the junk food off, and you'll see the number of people applying for these programs collapse, force them to cook their own food.
Right.
How do you fix something like this, Rob?
Well, HHS did write the program was designed by the early version of HHS under FDR. So it would be Department of Ag and HHS now. Put it this way, bad example, but maybe a great example. They forced people like sheep to get in line and take vaccines. And within 2 months, something like 67% of the country was vaccinated. An absurd hundreds of millions of people in this country in a short amount of time. You have to do the same thing here. You're talking about 42 million people. You can federalize it. You don't leave it up to the states. I called my mother because she was like, well, I don't know if I want that story, shared. I was like, Mom, it's nothing to be ashamed of. We went through something and look at you now. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. That's what it was designed for. But she was vetted. And I asked her about this. They weren't just like, okay, here's your booklet. They mailed it to you at that time. And they literally were like little pull-out stamps. She was vetted. They needed all sorts of documentation. And I'm thinking to myself, how are people doing this now? Where is the vetting process? Seriously, where is the vetting process? It's like voter ID. This should be easy. It's 42 million people. But anybody that's undocumented, I don't care if you've got small children. I don't care what the situation is. You are breaking the law. And it should be as simple as that. And that should not be controversial to say.
Yes. Okay, so breaking the law, really quickly, the response here has been, well, if you cut our benefits, we're going to riot and we're going to loot the stores. But, not in my personal experience, but I have been I don't typically riot on the weekends, Rob. Right. Got other things to do. But, yes. But actually, some Saturday mornings in my household could be considered a riot based on the results.
It is a riot, but yes. You are not taking part in a riot. Yes, same here.
It's very strenuous physical activity, rioting and looting. If you're able to do that, aren't you able to work?
That's such a good point. The average age of the American citizen that is currently connecting SNAP is under 40. Under 40 is the average age of the American citizen. Aren't you able to work? All of the videos that you see online of people that are like, if we don't, get our benefits Saturday, just watch out, lock your doors, lock your cars, dollar store, Walmart, we're coming for you. These people are this is anecdotal, of course, but these people are young in these videos that I see. Do some people require SNAP benefits? Absolutely. That's why the program exists. And I think that should be something that is for people that really are in need. But when you talk about the rioting, Benny, look, if there's rioting this weekend because people don't get their SNAP benefits, that's going to help two people in particular. One is Jack Ciattarelli, and the other is Winsome Sears in Virginia, the Republican candidates running for governor in both those states. Maybe it'll help Curtis Sliwa or Andrew Cuomo in New York City. I doubt it. I think New York City is going to get exactly what it deserves. But short term, I think that people are going to wake up and say, wait a second, you look at the polling, people blame the shutdown on Democrats. So shouldn't they blame this whole not getting their food stamps on Saturday on Democrats as well? You would think.
I would think. I mean, that I know it is anecdotal, but I did live in and this is so different between, from the story that you just shared about your mother. And I guess maybe this is just the final story I'd like to share about the experience I had with SNAP and WIC and food stamps. And I lived in literally the hood in Washington, D.C. It's all we could afford. It was our first house. It was, I guess you could call it a gentrifying neighborhood, but it wasn't, right? It was all Section 8 housing. We were the only people that bought our house on the block. The only people, right? And so I got a chance to watch and observe the culture of Section 8 and government dependency very close. For 5 straight years, I was able to sit and watch and observe. Some of these people were very lovely. They were very nice, and I have fond stories and some pretty warm memories, actually. But what I observed, Rob, was this, that it was multi-generational, that no one worked because there was a system that was grandfathered literally from their grandparents from the civil rights era, grandfathered in, and this was in Capitol Hill, this is in Washington, D.C.
Right.
And you're talking about 3 generations of people who've never paid for groceries, Rob. This is a totally different America. This is a subsection of America, a population of America, wholly and completely alien, not in the sense of a criminal alien, but in the sense of you don't even understand the deep DNA level, entitlement that comes with these neighborhoods and with these populations. It is almost aristocratic. And that's what's so insane about this. It is almost as though you were born into landed aristocracy, never had to work. You're always going to have a house. You're always going to have food. You're going to be able to live a life of luxury, meaning you never have to exert yourself ever. You can go just do whatever you want. and you never have to pay taxes. And it is almost like an inversion of an aristocracy. And it was incredible to see it up close. And the entitlement that came with it was also like the entitlement of a princeling, right? It was remarkable. And I saw it up close, and I'm like, man, something has to be done. Because what happens is it parasitically grows. Like, people see that like working at 7-Eleven is hard. And why do that when just the guy at the end of the block and has never had to work, his kids will never have to work, his granddad never had to work, and that just becomes like generational.
And then you think about just what my mother, just the embarrassment. You know, she was embarrassed, and as an 8-year-old, I could sense that. Completely different. Benny, the number has never been. It's a little more than 1 in 7 right now in this country. Adults over 18 that are on food stamps. It was higher right after the Great Recession, like 2009, 2010. I think the number was 47 million. But even when the program was started, it was never that high a number. It was never 1 in 7, 1 in 8. That's a remarkable number. That means that 1 in 8 people, adults over 18 that you see today, are collecting food stamps. And somehow we all think this is normal. And to your point, it's in some parts of this country, in some communities, it is a generational expectation.
Yeah.
That's a major problem. That's not the American dream.
No. And I think that it's a much longer conversation about like what must be done to ensure that the American dream is achievable and attainable. And of course, that would mean focusing on Americans and America in order to fix our problems, not Israel or Ukraine or whatever. But that's the hard work that has to be done. And that's the vision casting. If people won't buy into the American dream if it's not actually explained to them and if it's not attainable. People will actually crash out and just spiral into nihilism. And so I think that needs to be something that like the party works on closely. So anyway, Rob, it's been wonderful having you on the program, and awesome to be able to see you on this side of the camera.
Yeah.
Rob's on Newsmax every single night. Finnerty is the name of the show. And again, it just went absolutely thermonuclear viral this week by being one of the only men in cable TV to have the temerity and bravery to actually talk about this issue.
Look, we're not going to be afraid, Benny. We're not going to be afraid. It might not be popular, but authenticity is what keeps you in this business. And as soon as I saw that Sunday, I was like, guys, this is it. This is the story this week, and it has been. I appreciate you having me on.
Yes. Godspeed. Everybody follow Rob here. 50,000 Americans follow his X feed and watch him on Newsmax. Godspeed, man. SNAP benefits burn $145 billion a year. $7 billion every single month. Billion. What is that? That's like a considerable portion of the Pentagon. Goodness gracious. Top 10 most expensive items on SNAP. Whole live lobsters. You can get those for $80 a pound, probably. Prime dry aged rib steak, $60 a pound. King crab legs, $55 a pound. Caviar, $50 for 2-ounce tin. Wagyu beef filet mignon, $45 for 8-ounce. Fresh whole Dungeness crab, 2 to 3 pounds, $40. Saffron threads. Yeah, it's like a little spice, very expensive. $35 for 1 gram. Black truffles, fresh Italian, 2 ounces for $30. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Look at that. And then we were right. We were right about this article. The Kraft Heinz CEO, one of the largest and most one of the more evil food producers. Their products are nasty. And Kraft Heinz, obviously, Teresa Heinz Carey's left-wing company, left-wing coded, left-wing air. Their CEO, Carlos Abrams Rivera, said SNAP-related headwinds are expected to intensify amid a consumer sentiment as he described some of the worst in decades. Good. Yeah, I'm cool with it, man. I can morally justify it myself as a Christian. I would like for charity to go local again. You will never find somebody more entitled than the people who have been living for free off of your labor. They feel entitled to your work. That is actually immoral. So it is the perversion of Christianity. The Psalms says, if you don't work, you don't eat. There are constant parables about labor and working the vineyard, and about providing and creating shelter and creating and to be fruitful and multiply. The first command of God is actually to go and be fruitful. I've given you this incredible earth. Go and tame it. It is an immorality to sit there and to say, no, somebody else's labor belongs to me. It gets down to the very core of our being here as Americans. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes these kind of stories can stress me out. I hate paying taxes. I hate seeing what my taxes go toward. And so when I come home, I want to chill. I want to relax, bond charge. Red light mask is one of the ways that I do that. I also go and get some exercise. I eat right. Holistic wellness brand, Bond Charge, has a huge range of evidence-based products to optimize your life. I've been noticing wrinkles lately, right? The wrong side of 30, I like to say. So I tried Bond Charge's red light face mask that they sent me, and you know what? It's great. It helps me feel euphoric. It helps with relaxation, razor burns, wrinkles, and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, I just like to use it at night, typically when my kids go to sleep, because the red light mask, maybe I'll wear it for Halloween. You know what I mean? That's right. I use about 10 to 20 minutes a day. Anyway, it's just a great bedtime routine for me to using Bond Charge. You can go to bondcharge.com/Benny. Use the coupon code Betty to save 15% today. 15%, BONCHARGE.com/Benny. Use the coupon code Benny to save 15%. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and they're not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Speaking of, ladies and gentlemen, a disease, Kamala Harris is saying Kamala Harris is a disease, but she does suffer from some diseases, which would be crippling narcissism, an inability to see herself as the problem. Kamala Harris shocks Jon Stewart by insisting that Biden was fully competent to serve another term. Kamala Harris going on the podcast circuit now to try and sell her garbage book. Nobody wants to buy it. Even the biggest libs in the industry are calling BS on some of her claims. Here we go.
And I don't mean that in the personal sense of not ready. I meant it more in the sense of the policies that he wanted to implement, or the way that they were implemented, or the governance obstacles more than the competence conversation.
I'm not talking about competence. Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm not talking about competence at all. No, I believe he was fully competent to serve.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
That surprises me, actually.
No, I do. There's a distinction to be made between running for president and being president.
What's the distinction?
Well, being a candidate for president of the United States is about being in a marathon at a sprinter's pace, having tomatoes thrown at you every step you take.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's more than a notion.
Get involved in public service, ladies and gentlemen.
And to be the seated president, the sitting president, while doing that, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. I think it's a hard case to make for people that he didn't have the stamina to run, but he had the stamina to govern. Because I think most people view the presidency as a marathon run at a sprint with tomatoes being thrown at you in terms of governance. So I think that drawing that distinction. And again, I recognize the incredibly difficult place you are in with that, with personal relationships. And, I've been surprised at how much people talk about loyalty. And it's funny in the book, it creeps in every now and again, because it'll be like, I love Joe. I'm loyal to Joe. He's the best. But, he gave that 11-minute speech, and it wasn't until 10 minutes in that he said anything about me. Like, it's hard, I guess, you're still people. It's hard to get the personal feelings of.
What the hell is she talking about? It's like a sprint with people throwing tomatoes at you? No, it's running for president. We're all well aware what running for president means. Kamala Harris saying very creepily, like, I don't even know why Democrats keep running women like this. Like we're reliving, aren't we, ALX? We're reliving the Hillary Clinton thing. We're like, she's going to take it out on us for the rest of her life that she lost to Donald Trump. And Kamala's younger than Hillary Clinton, I think, by like 10 or 15 years. I mean, you're going to have to listen to this lady and her hurt feelings about this forever. We'll never be rid of it. You're going to have to live, like, just like Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is out. It has been almost a decade. It's almost 2026. It has been almost a decade since Hillary Clinton lost to Trump. And she'll still say it was stolen from her. She'll say Trump's not a real president. She'll still call Trump a Russian asset. I mean, I guess now her ass is trying to stay out of prison. So she's not exact. And after Trump won 90% of U.S. counties, all 7 swing states, and the popular vote, it's a little more indefensible to say that Trump stole the election. But nonetheless, like, what Democrats now are subjecting us to is Kamala Harris is now using us all as her therapy couch. Here's Kamala Harris. This clip's going viral. And this is exactly what Hillary did. Here's Kamala Harris talking about her feelings on election night and saying something very curious. What a weird way to say this. Kamala Harris saying, we need to find more votes. Why can't we find 200,000 more votes? Find 200,000 more votes. What do you mean by that? Wasn't Trump indicted in Georgia for saying the exact same thing? Here we go.
I was in a state of shock.
Really? Did you think the day before that you were going to win the election?
I did.
Yeah. And so when did the proverbial penny drop?
When I got a call from my campaign manager that it looks like we need 200,000 more votes that we can't find. Meaning it's just the map, the numbers. And the thing I kept saying over and over again, I was in a state of shock. I was so inarticulate, but maybe very articulate. What I kept saying over and over again is, my God, my God, my God.
Really?
Over and I couldn't stop. I haven't felt that emotion, anything similar to the emotion I felt that day and for quite some time, other than the grief I felt when my mother died.
You're comparing your election loss after stealing the election, the nomination from Joe Biden, getting 0 votes in the Democrat primary, being anointed as queen for 107 days, spending $2 billion lighting it literally on fire, running the worst presidential campaign that we've ever seen. You're comparing that to the death of your mother? You are sick, lady. You are sick. Kamala Harris is childless. Kamala Harris has made her career her child. She's made her career her kids. Like, where there is a hole in your heart for family, husband, children, grandchildren, the actual fabric of life, where that hole is for Kamala, right in the ticker, she's tried to shoehorn being a girl boss. A job at Citibank. You know, Willie Brown's pincushion. Like, literally power gobbling her way into what she thought was going to be the first female president.
Joe Biden is very much alive.
Biden is very much alive. And you can just see what a bankrupt worldview that is. How miserable it makes people. How truly sad it is in the end. She said me losing in a landslide to Trump was worse than my mom dying. Then she says my campaign consultant, my campaign chair called me and said, we can't find the votes. We can't find them. We can't find them. What does that mean exactly? Better call BLM. Well, actually, no, you can't do that anymore. Federal prosecutors to investigate BLM leaders over alleged misuse of $90 million in donations. Ooh, baby. We're cooking. Federal prosecutors, come on, right in my veins, are investigating senior leaders of Black Lives Matter. Remember the trained Marxists? And their organization defrauded donors and contributed tens of millions of dollars during the 2020 protests, two sources familiar with the probe tells Fox News. The Associated Press first reported on the Justice Department's ongoing inquiry focused on the foundation's handling of donations in the wake of George Floyd killing, which surged to $90 million. The probe is being led by the U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California. Investigators have issued subpoenas to the executives and at least one search warrant in recent weeks as they examine whether the foundation leaders or related organizations improperly managed charitable funds. The scope of the probe remains unclear. ALX, we can't jump off this without a little bit of a delineation into what they were spending money on. The Department of Justice declined to comment. Fox News has reached out to Black Lives Matter. According to the AP, the investigation began during the Biden administration, but has received renewed attention under the Trump administration. Just a couple of things that they spent money on. I know there's just a few, but some of them that come to mind. Patrice Cullors, who is the Marxist in charge of Black Lives Matter, she was paying her brothers, who has no background in security, her cousins, something like that, her sister's husbands, or whatever, like to go be her security guards. They bought multiple mansions. Candace Owens went to one. It's really funny, actually. It was an absolute legendary bit by Candace going to the BLM mansion. The top 5 biggest expenditures by BLM leaders. Let's go. ALX getting beat by Grok. Are we witnessing one of the AI takeovers of a job? AI's taking a job. Just kidding, ALX. Of course not. ALX AI, always supreme. The original AI. Top expenditures. A $6 million luxury mansion. Interesting. Let's read more. A Toronto Arts Center. $6.3 million. A luxury property in Toronto purchased with donations intended as an arts center, but actually just high-end real estate investment with minimal programmatic use. You know how it works. You have to actually spend these things on your mission. Okay. Consulting fees to Boyer's Consulting Firm. Look at that. Boyer's Consulting Firm. Payments, operational support, staffing, and fundraising for the fiscal year to a firm owned by BLM. Board member. Would you look at that? That's how it always goes. These frauds. Keep going. Security services contract. Contracted security services monitoring the California mansion awarded to a firm run by a relative of the leader, Patrice Cullors' brother. I was right. Elephant never forgets. Topanga Canyon compound. A 2,300 square foot home with a guest house in upscale LA area purchased. Scrutiny over the leader's finances. Man, they're buying so many homes with their nonprofit. They're buying lots of mansions with their nonprofit. How are they going to explain that one? BLM headed for insolvency after plunging $8.5 million into the red. What? They took $90 million and now they're on food stamps. Okay, cool. They go from having $90 million to all of them being on EBT. Black Lives Matter is heading to insolvency after plunging $8.5 million into the red. Founder Patrice Cullors' brother is still paid $1.6 million for security services, while the sister of a board member earned $1.1 million for consulting. The value of the investment accounts dropped nearly $10 million, fundraising down 88% year over year. So a near 100% destruction of their fundraising apparatus. Well done. Nicely done. Tucker Carlson, OG. I like these OG Tucker Carlson clips. Here we go. Tucker Carlson back in the day. Reporting on this. Here we go.
Remember the BLM movement, May of 2020, when every high school girl in America was absolutely required to put a black square on her Instagram page? Remember that? BLM, everyone's for BLM. Mitt Romney marched with BLM. What was that? Well, it was a scam. Actually, it turns out it was a scam. And it really hurt the country. Candace Owens has done an entire documentary on this. It's called The Greatest Lie Ever Sold, George Floyd and the Rise of BLM. For the documentary, she showed up to the gated mansion in Laurel Canyon, Los Angeles, owned by BLM co-founder Patrisse Cullors. Cullors then posted a video on Instagram complaining about Candace Owens' reporting. Watch this.
So we are headed to Laurel Canyon. We've yet to see any black people in this neighborhood. So there's definitely somebody home. Hello. I was just looking to speak to whoever is at this property. Sir? Hello? I don't know if he's going to get someone. I see a very cute German Shepherd, it looks like.
This morning, I woke up to Candace Owens being outside of my house.
It's still funny. A couple years old, it's hilarious.
I can't see how this purchase helped black lives anywhere in America. I can't even find a black life on the property. The dog's not even black, so there's that.
And so they're literally trying to destroy us. They're trying to destroy me. They're trying to destroy the movement. And I just need us to be stronger.
When you live in a multi-million-dollar home in Laurel Canyon, it can be hard. Candace Owens is the person who caused the suffering you just saw. She's the producer of the brand new documentary, The Greatest Lie Ever Sold, George Floyd and the Rise of BLM. One of the bravest people we know and one of the smartest.
What an era, ladies and gentlemen. It was ALX and I actually went to the premiere of this documentary. It was wild and very good. Maybe you watched it. A lot of unanswered questions, a lot of tax forms that makes absolutely no sense, a lot of money laundering that's provable demonstrably. It's called The Greatest Lie Ever Sold, produced by Candace Owens and then distributed by the Daily Wire. They're both working together. I'm not sure we can even show what I want to show you. Okay, no, I can't. All right. Got it. Okay. All right. I can't. I was wanting to show you Patrisse Cullors, the same Patrisse Cullors. Okay, I can show you this. Patrisse Cullors, what she's up to now. She's paying to send herself to, definitely paying using BLM funds, to like send herself to a high-end a literal artsy-fartsy school. I say that because what she's doing is wandering around naked, dripped in gold. I can't show you these photos because it's her actually naked. And one, I love you and nobody should ever have to see this. And two, well, I mean, yeah, I guess we can show this. We can show a cropped version. Please, for the love of God, I beg of you, don't like actually search for the whole version. But this is what they do in California. So in case you're wondering if this is the end stage of pagan, hedonistic, Marxist, godless lifestyle, yes, you're right. This is how it always ends. She's painted herself in gold, BLM funds, most likely. Ka-ching. Do we have a ka-ching sound effect? Here's your BLM. Here's your Bank of America credit card getting swiped. Right there, you go. She is. She's ensconced. She's bathed in gold, and she's like wandering around, scaring the hell out of people. Everyone like forcing everybody to look at her. This is PG-13. We can put this up. Yeah, PG-13. But yeah, just like trust me here. You don't want to see the whole thing. Trust me. Let's go. One reason why we're very proud and thank God that President Trump is in office. This was your Republican leader just 2 election cycles ago. 2 election cycles ago, Mitt Romney, one of the greatest rhinos. Not a great rhino, just like literally the iconoclast dictionary definition of a rhino, cucking out entirely and marching with BLM. Don't need to hear the audio, you just play it. There he is, with his little mask on. This was our Republican leader. Again, it's just like forcing us to pay for EBT. It's just a humiliation ritual. That's what it is. This is a humiliation ritual. And ladies and gentlemen, let's fast forward to a true Republican leader and how a true Republican leader approaches BLM. Not only President Trump continuing the investigation, but also Charlie Kirk. And what Charlie Kirk had to say, ladies and gentlemen, about this. Maybe one of my favorite videos from him.
Live from Black Lives Matter Plaza. Well, it's not called that anymore.
As you can see, the working crews are out, and it is the end of this mass race hysteria happening in our country. This right here, by the way, that was the church they tried to burn down, if you remember. And the crews are out here removing this 2-block long mural of Black Lives Matter Plaza out here in the streets of Washington, D.C. It is quite the effort. They have to actually get down to the street itself to get rid of all of the nonsense here. Make America great again, getting rid of BLM Plaza.
I miss him. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be speaking in Charlie Kirk's honor next week. On November 5th, please, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in the state of Alabama, or if you just want to drive or fly in, we're going to be at beautiful Auburn with Laura Trump, Eric Trump. There we go. We're going to be there with the next governor of Alabama, Tommy Tuberville. It's going to be an arena packed, and it is the anniversary of us taking our nation back. I am going to give a flipping barn burner, not like the BLM riots, but like our own version of that, of patriotism and of remembrance of the love of God for our nation, for what he has conceived and instituted in our government. And we're going to sort of thread that finally and have a celebration on stage. That's what I'm going to frame this as. We're going to celebrate the Trump victory and God's promise and providence for our nation and our land. And we'll be doing that, hopefully, with you. We will be live. You can watch on our channels. But then also, if you are in the area, please go and pick up your tickets. Tickets are available, ladies and gentlemen, at events 2022.tpusa.com. I don't know why that's such a strange URL, ALX. I'm surprised that it's like a funny URL, but whatever. Here's the landing page, and you can see, it's in the description. Nonetheless, it's linked in the description. Join us this week with the Trumps celebrating the Trump victory. It's going to be a blast. We were just at the J.D. Vance speech, and it was remarkable. Obviously, it was really fun traveling there with J.D. Vance. Patriot Mobile was with us every step of the way. You know me. I'm going to take my Patriot Mobile device. And it works, man. Ole Miss was remote. And we had excellent service. We were able to upload. And we'll be able to do the exact same thing in Auburn. It's going to be a blast. Patriot Mobile, the backbone of our company, keeping us connected. Available on all major U.S. carriers and networks. Exceptional nationwide coverage, along with the ability to have multiple numbers on different networks, singular. Smartphone, folks, this is a game changer. Unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, and internet backup, and so much more. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Benny for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT. Ladies and gentlemen, I call a Patriot every single day when we're live with you, and our verse of the day for you, Patriots. From John 1:5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. We were in Washington, D.C. Boy, there is some darkness there. But it is wonderful, wonderful verse to end our week with. It is Halloween, so have a great and safe Halloween. I will be trick-or-treating with my kids. They got their little outfits. We're not one of those families. If you are one of those families, whatever, chill. But we're one of those families. We're going to go door to door, a little cute neighborhood and, walk the kids out. And my son's going to be a king. I got my son a king costume for No Kings. My daughters wanted to be unicorns, so that's what they're going to be. They're like ballerinas. They're going to be like ballerinas, but like with like a little, unicorn flourish. So that's what they're going to be. I think my youngest son is like 8 months old. I think he's going to be a prince and a king for my two boys. So there we go. No kings, no. Yes, king. Yes, king. The King of Kings, Jesus Christ, shining in the darkness will not overcome it. And we will win. Have a great weekend. In this, the greatest country on earth, it's your boy Benny. See ya.
Sorry, honey. We can't afford that this week. I'll try to save more.
Got the top gone and the gold chain swinging. Pocket stay deep like the beat I'm bringing. Rolling with the hurt, yeah, the ghost stay blinging. Sun in my face while the bassline singing.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings. And their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.